Dextery World of Matchups, Spencer the Wiz, Blue Milk Boys Gaming, a Raider fan and a Chief fan, here to talk about that nightmare that happened last Monday and all the pomp and circumstance that goes with it. So, right off the bat, I thought the Chiefs are going to smoke the Raiders. I'm not surprised that it was close. Division games are close. These two can't stand each other. People like to call it a rivalry. I don't really think it is much of a rivalry. The Raiders have only beaten the Chiefs 3 times in the last 8 or 9 years, but I knew that they would come out swinging, and they did. 17-0. To me, that's almost like the worst thing that you can do with Patrick Mahomes. You got a better chance of keeping it close with them and then stealing it at the end versus going up big, because you know at some point Kansas City was going to get it together and come back, and that's exactly what happened. They won a game, to me, that they probably shouldn't have won. This is the second time the Kansas City Chiefs have done this. The same thing happened to the Chargers. If the coaching in LA and the coaching in Vegas were any good, the Chiefs would have lost both of those games. So to me, this is more about Vegas losing the game than Kansas City winning the game. Luck is real in the National Football League, and I think that's what happened with Kansas City. I will take it. I'll take a lucky win over a terrible loss any day. Now, a lot of different things happened in this game, and let's start. One with the officiating was absolutely horrendous.
And
My God,
you hate to see
Spencer,
referees be so involved in a close matchup.
my God, I have never in my life seen such bad officiating than I have this year. I mean, we did a lot on Roast the Ref last year. This has been really, really bad. And so the strip sack fumble recovery that everyone on Twitter, everyone on Fox Sports, everyone on ESPN, everyone has had an opinion on this, and everyone's saying the same thing. It is absolutely horrible how you call this and then double down on it days later saying it was the right call. That coach should never coach it. That ref should never coach, should never ever referee another game. When you're in Pop Warner and you're coaching defensive players, these young kids, that is textbook what Chris Jones did. And there's no explanation for why they doubled down on it and kept it. And so now I believe that roughing the passer, I believe all calls in the NFL, they need to go to the booth, because the Raiders go down and
Yeah.
they score 3 when Kansas City would have taken that ball there and they would have marched down the field and got no less than 3. I think they would have scored a touchdown there. So that's a game-changing momentum shift play, which I think was complete BS, and it changed the whole dynamic of the game. Then you have Andy Reid refusing to kick a extra point. Then you have Josh McDaniels going for 2. This was an absolute disgusting display of poor coaching at the highest order. And to me, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, especially when you consider how much you and I hyped up the AFC West to be one of
I
the
know.
best of all time. That's what the NFC East is now. The NFC East is what we thought the AFC West was going to be. My goodness. And so we can only go up from here. I mean, the Raiders to me are one of the best 1-4 teams out there. I think that poor coaching lost this game for them. I think Josh McDaniels is the wrong coach for the Raiders. I told you last year, Rich Bisaccia should have retained this guy. I think Rich Bisaccia would at least have 3 wins for the Raiders. And I know a lot of things could have gone right or wrong, but everyone on planet Earth got to see how bad McDaniels was in this game. I've been saying Andy Reid can be horrible in these big games forever, so this is nothing new. I got the receipts. You've seen them. I've been complaining about Andy Reid since 2015. And so it's just another day for me. But you guys had to have this game. Now your season is pretty much over. Your thoughts?
It's been over though. This isn't a very good football team. I think that's the problem. I'm actually on the opposite side. Going for 2 was like one of the worst mistakes, and those are the kinds of mistakes that I personally can accept in the first year. Because here, let's take a look at this like objectively. They just paid Derek Carr $40 million a year. The game's on the line. Is he not the guy who makes the most money on your team? Don't you want the ball to be in his hands in the most important moments? And I think Andy Reid did the same thing with Patrick Mahomes going for 2, man. That's the guy you pay, so you want to give him a chance. But
take the points.
Take the points.
Take the points. This is
If
a
it was
highly
okay,
contested game. Take the points.
if there was 15 seconds left in the game, because the Raiders did this against the Saints a few years ago with Jack Del Rio when they went to the playoffs that year. They went for it to get for two at the end of the game with like no time left on the clock, and they won the game. They didn't want to go overtime. Fair enough. I wouldn't want to send the ball to Patrick Mahomes during overtime either, right? If they win the coin toss, because they had only made like a handful of stops in the second half, right? That's fine. But you got 4.5 minutes left, right? Because then now the Chiefs can just run the clock out. And the context of the game is so different at that point. So you take the points and you hope to stop them. And luckily they did. He took a bad timeout too. They ended up getting a pretty decent stop there because of a bad Kansas City play who bailed them out of that one. But I'm actually in favor of Josh McDaniels. I like his offensive system. I think it's creative. Man, this is a common theme that nobody seems to be talking about this season for the Raiders, who could easily be undefeated at this point, which is just kind of funny. And now they're 1-4. Like, how often can you say that? I mean, it literally has come down to the last play. The Titans game came down to the literal last play. The Arizona game came down to the last play. The common theme in all of the 4 losses this year is that Derek Carr has had the ball in his hands for the last play of the game. Whatever magic the guy had before ended in Cincinnati last year because he hasn't had one clutch performance there at the end of the. Now he's had some clutch plays. The bomb to Devontae Adams there at the end of the Chiefs game.
That's
but
a huge throw, bro.
Yeah, but
this
you know
isn't
what?
on Carr.
Oh, you really don't think so?
Bro,
all these losses,
Devontae
he's had the ball
Adams
in his
and
hands the
Hunter
last play of the game.
Renfrow ran the wrong route on that last play. Hunter Renfrow ran the wrong route. And look at those throws to the throw to Devontae Adams. He split the Chiefs defender and dropped it right in the breadbasket. Look, I bag on Carr as much as anyone. I don't think this loss is on him. I think this loss is on coaching. The coaching was anemic in this game. I'm sorry. On both sides. On both sides. This is a game that the Raiders had, and they let it slip away. For whatever reason, I don't know why. If Devontae Adams is running into Hunter Renfrow, something is wrong. Something is wrong.
The only thing I'm ultimately upset about. Well, actually, I'm pretty happy about the results. I know it sounds weird, but 1 and 3
get a better draft pick.
Playoffs. 1 and 3, they're not going to make the playoffs. I don't know where this narrative is from stupid Raiders fans on Twitter. I'm already getting sick of it. Where they're like, oh, now they're going to start winning the next 10. It's like, shut up, man. This is a bad football team. They were never going to make the playoffs after 1 and 3. Yeah. Nobody does. It's a statistic anomaly. You got to be in a bad division.
AFC West.
If you're in a bad division, you're 1 and 3. Okay, like if you're in the Colts Jaguars division, okay, maybe you can make the playoffs at 1 and 3. You have to run the table. Playoff teams. You have 2 playoff teams in your division. It's not going to happen. So when they ultimately lose, even though it stings, obviously, I'm not happy that they lose. But I think I can be realistic and say, okay, they lost, which means they're going to be at least 1 spot up, in the draft. So that's the positive thing about it, because the team isn't horrible. They're just not a good football team. They're not horrible. And when you can get a high draft pick when you're a decent team, that can make all the difference in the world. And I think you've seen that before.
It definitely can. Also, Josh Jacobs is Barry Sanders on Monday night.
Man, he's had.
What are you doing? You're taking the ball out of the guy who's spinning and flexing the hardest.
Everybody's at the line of scrimmage, so you clock it.
The Chiefs could not stop Josh Jacobs. They couldn't stop him. Screens.
Yeah, that was rough. I think that's on Derek Carr to call an audible, man. If he sees that the middle's open, you take the 4th and 1 and you get the first down,
man.
And you say, all right, next play. And
next play.
Move forward.
Josh
you only
Jacobs
needed a field goal.
Josh Jacobs almost had 200 yards rushing. You have to. That's the boy with the ball in his hands. And again, like, most of the time I will blame Carr because I think the blame is justified. I'm not blaming him here. I think the offensive line played fairly well. I think their D-line, Mad Max Crosby, they had no answer for Crosby at all. Chandler Jones actually started to show some signs of life too. The Raiders played well enough to win, and they should have won. Yeah. Poor coaching loses this game. Good coaching wins this game. Conversely, if Andy Reid would have lost this game, everybody would have been roasting him because I don't understand what you're doing going for 2 there. Look, analytics in the National Football League will get you fired. It will get you fired. Analytics are like the new greatest, coolest trend. You got some nerd in the booth upstairs holding a clipboard with situations. Dude, your gut tells you in a close game to take easy points. I know Harrison Butker is hurt. I get that. But if Wright, who just kicked a 59-yard field goal an Arrowhead record-setting field goal. If you don't trust that guy to kick an extra point, then what are you doing coaching? That point should have been made, and it's a completely different ball game. Now you're relying on the Raiders to Raider to win, and that's what happened. Andy Reid, man, I'm telling you, the Kansas City Chiefs keep bailing this guy out. Andy Reid is a great regular season coach. He is not a big game coach. One of the biggest problems with the Kansas City Chiefs is Andy Reid, and it's the gift and the curse because real fans, non-Homer fans, can see behind the curtain that this guy just keeps getting bailed out. He beats up on bad teams. Division games, he skates by the skin of his teeth because his players make big plays to bail his ass out. But the decision making he makes, the clock management, it's anemic. It's anemic. The Raiders could easily be undefeated, and the Chiefs could easily have one win. Easily. And yeah, I said it as a Chief fan. And I don't care about you other Homer fans. Y'all want to come for me? Come for me, man. Search for me. Search your feelings. You know this shit is true. It's just factual information for you non-casual fans that watch football for other reasons besides the color of the team's jerseys. This is the truth. The only reason the Raiders lost that game is because of poor coaching, and 99 out of 100 times they should win that game. But the Raiders are going to Raider, and that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, I think the last thing we got to talk about with this one, man, is the overreaction to Davante Adams at the end of this game.
So stupid.
Dude, this is crazy. People are saying, oh, he's got
Melvin Gordon can DUI. Alvin Kamara almost beats a guy within an inch of his life, and he's playing. Meanwhile, everyone, you know what it is? It's a money grab, bro. It's a money grab. And
feels
look,
that way. He charges.
It just definitely
for
is.
assault.
I'm going to go to the hospital and be evaluated for a concussion.
In that tunnel, dude, and you know that, man.
Come on, man. It's a money grab.
That press pass doesn't give you free reign to do whatever the hell you want, man. You should have never been close to that tunnel. That's on the security too for letting that guy even be close to the tunnel. Come on, he's seconds after losing a really close game
that he's balled pissed, out in.
And the guy rolls in front of him. It's not like he seeked him out. Like, oh, there's the camera guy. Let me go over and F that guy up. No, he walked in front of him. The guy's pissed off, so he gives him a push, and the guy, dude, no one even cares dude, if people cared half as much as they did about Brett Favre stealing from poor people. That guy would be in jail, man.
Thank you. Brett Favre bilking $5 million from the poorest friggin' state in the union. You can't even
get a headline on that anymore, dude.
And look, man, Davante Adams is a good dude. I mean, there's been some stuff that's circulating about, like, he ran into a cameraman in Green Bay, picked the guy up, dusted him off, said he was sorry, put the guy's hat back on. It's all over social media. It's not hard to find. Just go Twitter it. He's not a bad dude. You caught him in a bad spot. You ran in front of him. It's no way in hell that this guy should be absolutely being vilified for this. Yes, you should never put your hands on anyone. That I will agree with. But, like, where was this same energy when Britt Reed almost killed that little girl in Kansas City? You know what I'm saying? Where's that same energy with Alvin Kamara beating a guy within an inch of his life? That guy's playing Sunday. That can is getting kicked down to 2025 before anything will happen. Alvin Kamara will retire before anything happens there. The energy is not the same. The double standard in the NFL is complete horseshit. And again, I'm not condoning putting hands on anyone, but look, this little nerd with a camera that rolls over and bangs his head now is being evaluated for a concussion. He's speaking through his lawyer. He wants to remain anonymous. Dude, you want season tickets from the Raiders. You want 7 figures, and you want to do it quietly. This is a money grab and nothing else. And Kansas City, you got to hold an L on this, man. That guy should have never been anywhere near that. Emotions are running high. And Davante Adams, look, you should have never left Green Bay, fam. I know you got this bromance with Derek Carr. You should have never left Green Bay.
I don't know. Can you really say that, though? Again, they're
4
plays away from being undefeated. They're 4 plays away from being undefeated, and he's cooking this year.
He will win nothing.
Leading the league in touchdowns. He has to be, right?
He will win nothing in Vegas.
Oh, I don't know about that. I'm not so convinced.
How old is
the Raiders are 5-0? Would we not be talking? Would we not be saying that he's having a great season?
Davante Adams is on the other side of his career. He will win nothing. By the time the Raiders are good, Davante Adams will be retiring.
Oh, I don't think so, man. They could easily be the top seed in the division right now. They get a top 15 pick this year.
Spencer, if my aunt had a dick, she'd be my uncle. Okay?
Yeah, but I'm saying like this is the first season of a new head coach. Is it always supposed to go immediately well? And I think
That's what they
generally
were
speaking, it's
planning
gone
on.
well. I think people are.
That's what
It's.
they were planning on. No Raider
I
fan
think
can tell
so,
me
man.
different. That no Raider fan can
I'm
tell.
more realistic. I think every Raiders fan think this season is still in play. This season's out of
This
play. The
season is
season's
over.
over.
This season
But
is over.
they get it. They got a lot of money going into the off season, and they're gonna have a good draft pick. I think that's a formula. You're telling me an impact defensive player in a first round pick aren't the difference in this football game alone?
Easily.
I mean, that's how close it is.
They
You
got a
can't
lot
tell
of
me an
decisions to
impact.
make. Are they going to keep Josh Jacobs? They want to get rid of Josh Jacobs.
I'm fine
Josh
with
Jacobs
Zamir
is
White.
balling.
I'm fine
Josh
with
Jacobs
Zamir
is
White.
balling. Josh Jacobs is going to be on
Paying a
Houston
running
next
back is
year.
never worth it. Paying a running back is
Yeah,
never worth it.
I
I've
don't
never seen
know.
a single case where it's worth it. They paid Zeke
Yeah,
Elliott
unless you're like
nothing.
Marshall Falk, you know what I mean? Or Priest
That's
Holmes in his
that one
prime.
time in NFL history.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
They got
As
some
good
work
as
to
they
do,
are, it just
man.
doesn't last forever, man.
They don't last. You can find a good running back in round 6, but the
Zamir White will
bottom
be
line is
fine
that
starting.
Devontae Adams got screwed here. He's going to have to show up for court. It's going to get kicked. He's going to pay some money. It'll go away. But the hypocrisy of the NFL shines its ugly head again in Kansas City because this is ridiculous. You know what I mean? And that's all you see. He apologized to the guy. He immediately knew he did something wrong. Emotions are running high. You
It's
know
a
what?
man's
Keep
sport,
these
dude.
guys away from the players, man.
It's a man's
Keep
sport.
these guys away from the players. Keep the fans away from the players. Keep the media away from the players. If there's incidental contact during a game, that's a whole different story. But Devontae Adams is a good dude, and he's getting dragged unnecessarily. Raiders should have won this game. Chiefs keep squeaking by, man. Look, maybe it's the mark of a good team. I think that's part of it. But this is the type of thing where you're going to run out of luck here, Kansas City, if you keep playing this way. It's time to start putting teams away and making the right calls when it counts.